Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Cageside Live After the Bell. I am Matthew Roth. I'm joined, as always, by Sean Rueter. You can reach us on Twitter at S1Rude. That's Sean's Twitter handle. You can reach me on Twitter at MattRoth512. Tonight, this is the NXT TakeOver rival post-show.
It is.
Dude...
You gave us a new subtitle. I didn't know we were after the bell. Is that some sort of MMA thing? Is that?
I don't know, man. I like it though. All
right, we'll stick with it.
I'm gonna roll with it. Hey, you know what? I'm in a good mood after tonight's show. Isn't that kind of funny?
That was fun. Yeah, it's amazing that when you don't have your intelligence insulted for at least the last hour of a show, what it does for your mood.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of amazing that it's the same company. It's all WWE, but hey, you know what? This one didn't really piss me off, and that seems to be the theme, at least with our post show, is that what we get with the WWE with the main a lot of the time disappoints us, and the NXT cards, dude, we can't say enough about them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much that I don't mind if wrestling pisses me off. Sometimes that's what I wanted to do, but don't make me feel like an idiot for watching, and that's the difference. NXT never makes me feel like I wasted 2 hours, even though there's stuff I didn't agree with tonight, and there were some sloppy matches, but I still had fun for 2 hours, and I can rarely say that about even a Raw or especially a pay-per-view. I mean, which just feels like Raws now. So.
Yeah, I mean, It's not. It's not that I hate the main roster, because I mean, again, we got that triple threat match in the last pay-per-view that was just absolutely incredible. It's just that maybe it's the fact that I don't even say that the workers are better in NXT, because those there's quality guys on the main roster too. It's just that it seems like they're being given the amount of time that it takes to actually tell a story.
Yeah. NXT's got a bunch of advantages. I mean, they're mostly pre-taped, so they can sort of lay stuff out better. They don't have as much time to fill, so they've got some things going for them. But I mean, like you said, it's amazing that it's the same company and they can't apply the lessons that we see them, the stuff that we see them do at NXT, where they stick to their stories and they know what the end points are. They never do that on the main roster, and the main roster might still be frustrating because they have 7 hours of TV to fill on an average week and everything else, and they've got more guys and they've got more people to try to please. But it could be better if they did some of the same things, and they don't, and that's what's so frustrating about it. That's Dr. Sean's opinion. As you can see, I'm kind of in mourning right now, so if I'm feeling a little bummed out, it's because I was all in. I was on Team Zayn, and it was just sad.
You know what? It was sad, but the way they told that story was incredible.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, like I said, I don't know if we want to start at the end and work backwards. Probably not, but I mean, yeah, it was a good. I'm excited to see what happens next, which is usually the case. I mean, NXT makes me feel like a mark, and I know for some people that's, people get upset when you call them a mark, but I don't have a problem with it because that's how I want to feel. I mean, I like pro sports, I like MMA, I watch those for different reasons. I expect the fact that this stuff is scripted, you should be able to work me, and NXT does that, and they did it tonight. I'm bummed my boy lost, but I'm excited to see him come back.
I mean, I guess for me it's that I appreciate the fact that it makes me feel like a mark, because I agree with you. It's that, it's hard a lot of the times with Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, is that it's just you said it insults your intelligence as a fan, and you look at the presentation for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, and that's Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn's approach to to trying to make soap operas, and it doesn't really work out because it comes off really cheesy. You have somebody like John Cena who always goes to jokey John Cena,
right?
And I think that's also why, I don't know if you've been watching Lucha Underground, but
I have. I love it,
dude. I love Lucha Underground, and you can tell that like having Robert Rodriguez, as like a producer of, like, it's actually shot very cinematically, and that's why it's very, very good. Like.
And some of the stuff on Lucha Underground is just as cheesy as a soap opera. I mean, we're talking about like there's a monster in the basement and all kinds of crazy shit, but they just go with it and they present it. They don't try to act like they're bigger than that. And like you said, I mean, the backstage stuff is phenomenal. I mean, it's like you're watching a B movie, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I love B movies.
No, it's those grindhouse movies that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's kind of the big thing, the big difference, at least with main WWE versus what NXT, and I'm putting NXT and Lucha Underground together because, in my opinion, they're the two best wrestling programs available in the United States at this point.
And they're on at the same damn time now, but that's all right. I have to watch. I don't get El Rey, so I have to watch Lucha Underground later anyway.
I haven't watched the nights either, man. But to me, it's the way that they approach NXT, and I don't want to. Obviously, we have to talk about the show tonight, but the way that they approach NXT, they're allowing people to actually tell stories within the ring, and that's really what I want as a fan. And I don't want to speak for you, but I think that's what we as adults that enjoy watching wrestling want to see. We want to see stories and like actual competitive matches, not like, hey, if you're feeling froggy, then jump, which is a real line that John Cena said this past weekend.
Well, yeah, well, and Cena's in the whole, it's the pleasing multiple, trying to be a badass for some people and a cute character. I mean, we could pick that apart forever, but you're right. I mean, yeah, they let these guys, have a role in the storytelling so that it goes across every promo and every match. I mean, I think, whether or not you knew Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in their previous incarnation on the Indies, and especially in Ring of Honor, you have seen now in just a couple of months, what they bring to their characters in every like facial expression and move and match and everything, and how they have confidence, and Triple H and his team have given them the wherewithal to, slowly reveal layers of those characters, especially Owens. I mean, we got to see, what kind of a psychopath he can be tonight, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think, before we actually get into talking about the card, the final thing that I have in my mind is that it's not that the workers are better in NXT, because there's incredible people on the main roster. I mean, that half of what's going on television are those guys are incredible workers and incredible storytellers in of themselves. It's honestly just the fact that in NXT, like, you're able to tell, you're able to build what you should be, and in Monday Night Raw, like, we keep talking about it every single pay-per-view, but the Usos, incredible in the ring. Like, those guys can put on, I'm not going to say a 4-star or 5-star match, but they can put on a 3-star match every single time out.
They're solid, absolutely, yeah.
But I have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
Like, and versus, Tyler Breeze, I know exactly who he is, and he's been given the opportunity to actually build a character and develop a character. They never did that with Jimmy and Jey Uso, and so I think that's the big difference for me, and why I enjoyed. Like, we're going to talk about tonight, but I enjoyed tonight a ton because I'm invested in everybody on the show except for Bull Dempsey.
Why are you gonna throw shade on Bull like that? Come on, man.
Fuck Bull Dempsey. Fuck, you know what? Fuck Bull Dempsey and fuck Baron Corbin too. That guy sucks.
Oh wow, hot take alert.
Not even hot Corbin. I think, you know what? Those guys, like, Baron Corbin.
Baron
Corbin has the weirdest belly button in the world, man. Looks like a fucking.
It is. And ever since, somebody posted some. There was a meme going around where people were putting other stuff over his belly button, and now I can't look at him seriously because I see.
It's the weirdest looking belly button.
Characters from TMNT coming out of his midsection.
It's the funniest belly button, man.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
All right.
Anyway. Yeah, I mean, I agree with all that, and I don't know. I was gonna say something else. I can't remember now.
All right.
Let's go. It'll come back to me.
Show opens with Hideo Itami versus Tyler Breeze. Itami goes over. Really good match, though. I mean, Tyler Breeze has kind of been left in, like, since the debut of Itami and Bálor, and and Kevin Owens, Tyler Breeze has kind of been pushed to the side,
Hmm.
and it kind of sucks because he's one of the more interesting and compelling characters out there, and he's actually an insanely great worker. Um, there's just no room for him right now there, it seems.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the cool things to go back to what you were saying though about where they let these guys do some things. I think they've just, they realize they have something in Breeze, but they realize that the top of the card is really crowded now with all these, acts they've signed. But they've let him have little 30-second spots here and there where we're reminded what his character is. We know that, even the announcers tonight, they brought up a few times that he won a number one contenders match and never got a one-on-one title shot for it. So that's still lingering there. So I think it's great that they let him stay relevant and they let him, do things that let him keep heat on him. And yeah, he owns that character. It's fantastic, and he's come a long way as a worker. I remember before he started doing this gimmick. That's how long I've been watching NXT for Cageside. When he was just sort of a generic jobber guy, Mike Dalton. He didn't. We weren't sure he was going to be able to carry much, and he stood toe to toe with Hideo Itami tonight, and move for move and storytelling beat for storytelling beat that was a really fun match, a great opener.
Do you think that you said that he's coming to his own as a worker, and we hear about another guy in the locker room that everybody seems to love down in NXT, and that's Fuckknuckle.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that that's kind of the same thing that like I can't think of the actual guy's real name. I know
CJ Parker, yeah.
CJ Parker. He was awful for a while, and I think that he's starting to come into his own as a worker as well. Do you think that it's kind of like Bill DeMott's doing some really good things down in developmental?
He is. I don't know what the problem is with CJ Parker, man. Every time you hear any WWE or NXT star interviewed, they rave about the guy, and then he gets on TV, and his character is great. He owns it. He's really come into that heel eco douche character. But he still always manages to sort of like miss a move, or I don't know. I don't know if it's like a stage fright thing. I have yet to see him like put together even a solid like 5-minute performance getting squashed without messing something up. So I don't know. I mean, I hope he's got it in him because, like I said, I mean, he's got to be doing something right because everybody loves him, but the viewers. So
that's actually exactly what it is. Is that you and I don't like him, but everybody loves working with him.
Yeah, he's like the Curtis Axel of NXT. Like everybody talks about how great. I mean, I guess he's like a practice, like a practice field stud kind of a guy, I guess.
Yeah.
But so hopefully he'll get there. I don't think, from what I can remember of the early Tyler Breeze stuff, I don't think he was ever. He just seemed kind of limited. He just didn't seem like he had a ton of moves. But I don't remember him screwing stuff up the way I always think Fuckknuckle of doing something. So.
I mean, so the Breeze Itami match, Itami definitely seems more comfortable in the ring at this point.
Yeah, I think he had a lot to adjust to. I mean, it was the WWE style, it was the language, it was being away from home, it was on and on and on and on. And I think he's slowly getting it and feeling more confident in this environment.
And I know that you watched the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast with Triple H. Triple H, like he brought up that Finn Bálor, who, incredible talent in the ring, but Finn, Prince Devitt, Fergal Devitt, Finn Bálor was having a hard time adjusting as well because he's never had somebody say, like, this is where the camera is.
Right.
Where the cameras are. And he speaks English, And so I think that could have been it as well because, I'll be honest, I hated the initial Tommy stuff. I mean,
and the other thing that I know a lot of cage stars have brought it up is he got stuck working with the Ascension right out of the gate, which did him no fucking favors. I mean, nobody's carried those guys to a great match yet.
No, and like New Age Outlaws tried, man. Like, like Billy Gunn's a legitimate good worker, and he couldn't do anything with them.
Mm-mm. No, they're yeah.
I think that the Tommy. I wrote him off. I said that I don't think that he has a future with them, and I'll take that back. I think that Tommy, he's finally slowly coming into his own with the company, and as you said, he doesn't speak English as a native language, and so like that has to be a big thing. And he worked almost exclusively in Japan, where it's an insanely stiff style and that's not the WWE. No, like yeah, every so often there's a stiff worker like Stone Cold Steve Austin or Brock Lesnar, but for the most part, people are pulling their punches and their kicks, and that's not what he does.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what his future is. It might just be on NXT as a badass down there because I kind of I don't know. I mean, I think that's what I was gonna say earlier. Is I cringe. I still cringe about the call-ups because I feel like for the most part, um, you know, guys who have succeeded out of NXT on the main roster have done so like in spite of creative, not because of it. So, um, yeah, I don't know what Tommy's future is, but he's going to prove himself. It's not going to be like he's a bust, which is what it looked like, a month into after his debut. I think he's going to be fine. He might be a mid-carder on the main shows, or he might just stick down here, but he's proven he can do this. So.
Yeah.
I thought it was the right call for him to go over. I guess it's a bit of a bummer, but he's got a little bit more momentum behind him. And Tyler has a couple of feuds set up for him that they're just waiting for guys to get back from injuries. I guess he's got Marcus Louis is stalking him from the rafters, and Breeze is the one that wrote off Moho Rawley. So not that I'm excited for the hype man to come back, but when he comes back, he's got a feud ready with Breeze. So
dude, I'm gonna be hyped.
I will be too. I mean, I'm gonna stay hyped. Actually, from now until he comes back, I'm just gonna stay hyped.
I don't know, man. It's definitely one of those things where Tyler Breeze. I mean, he's a great worker. Like he can bump with the best of them, and he can sell with the best of them. And it seems also that he's in a weird spot where his finisher isn't really a finisher.
Yeah.
That it's not a finisher. That was my big knock against him. Just watching as a fan before we were even doing the show is that it's not a finisher.
He's hitting that supermodel kick more often, which he gets good connection on that. So they might be transitioning him to that. I don't know. They do like the beauty shot out of nowhere. I think that's why they like that one as the finisher. I think because it's out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can agree. So, any other thoughts with this match, man?
No, I mean they're still. I think I like that they're continuing to tease the go to sleep. When he finally hits that, it's gonna blow the roof off of whatever building he's in when he does it, and it should be for a much bigger match than just the opener tonight. So that's cool. Tyler's awesome. He had the selfie stick with the fur on it, and he's just. Yeah, I mean, again, I assume that's stuff that he comes up with. He's like, I'm gonna bring out a selfie stick and I'm gonna wrap it in fake fur, and he's awesome. So I love him. I love you, Prince Pretty. Your time will come, man.
Yeah,
I don't have anything else,
yeah, I got nothing else. Next up was the Lucha Dragons versus Team Thick.
Ugh. Yeah, boy. That you know what? I blow a lot of smoke up NXT's ass, but they got some work to do in the tag division because it is a hot mess.
You know what? Team Thick seems to have their at least their work rate down. I think, which is why they were great enhancement talents. But man, tonight's match sucked. There's no better way around it.
I haven't seen. Since this Team Thick push, I haven't seen anything. I mean, they've had some. I mean, I haven't seen any really crisp match. They do it. They've got some nice power spots. I like the cutter setting up the frog splash thing they did tonight. They're all right, but if they're getting pushed as the top of the division, that's. Ugh. I don't know. And the other thing is, we were saying what's great about NXT is that I care about all this stuff and I'm invested in it. I couldn't have given two shits about this match.
I didn't care. I didn't care about this match, and I think we've been in agreement for a while that whole Lucha chant with Kalisto, awful.
Yeah.
Awful. That's it's the same thing as Alberto Del Rio trying to get C over when some things work. Like the yes chant works.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't work everywhere else. And the Lucha chant was just it's never gonna work. It's just a stupid chant. Kalisto there's moments when you go, there's something there, and then there's other moments where you're like, what the fuck am I watching, man?
Yeah, I don't know. For a while there, when they switched out who was under the Sin Cara hood, he was looking better, but that mask might be cursed because he was botching stuff up tonight. Kalisto had a bad slip on the ropes when he went for like a springboard slingshot. Um, I don't know. The Lucha Dragons almost like played heel tonight, I thought, a little bit. The announcers were definitely playing up that they weren't going for finishes, that they were like being showy instead of going for finishes. The Lucha chant, yeah, is dumb, and now it's not over. Like when Kalisto was trying to get the crowd to do it tonight, I don't think they did. So yeah, I don't know. And everybody, we were all talking about how Kalisto was the Rey Mysterio replacement and was due for a call up, but they've been bringing Sin Cara up for main roster matches more than any. I mean, he's like a frequent person on Raw and SmackDown who even gets wins. So I don't know what the hell they're doing with that team or either of those guys. I mean, this wasn't the worst match in the world, but it was.
It wasn't good, man.
No, it was the worst match on the card.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely the worst match of the night. It was, like from the opening bell, it was it was full of botches. I don't know. I actually said to Brent Brookhouse, who used to work at Bloody Elbow, and I was like, "Is it just me, or is somebody going to break their neck?" And at first he replied like, "I don't think so," and then immediately after he was like, "Yeah, somebody's going to die like in this match. Like somebody's going to break their neck because they did like what was it like a sunset flip or something off the top rope."
Yeah.
That was as ugly as it can go. And like the head scissors that Sin Cara did in the beginning of the match that like just completely missed.
Yeah, where he just sort of fell off. Yeah, that was what that set the tone right there. It was just like, oh boy, here we go.
And they had nothing. And once it happened, the entire match went downhill. I don't know. This was my worst match of the night. Still better than anything the Ascension's ever done.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean. The thing with the Ascension was at least I felt like the tag division had like a story there or something. It wasn't much of one, but it was something. I don't know. I don't understand why they didn't put the Vaudevillains over. I don't know where those guys are now. They lost their rematch and they disappeared. And that seemed like, they weren't great, but Gotch has a cool character that was definitely over with the fans, and I don't understand. I don't know what's going on with them.
I was actually going to say that exact thing, is that the Vaudevillains, I liked them. I enjoyed them, man.
They had fun character. They had a fun character. It was a good gimmick. The crowd was into it. Either, and it was kind of a 50-50 reaction, but everybody reacted. I don't understand why they didn't pull the trigger on that, or what they're doing with those guys now. Because I don't know. Murphy and Blake need something like a character, for instance, for me to give a shit about them. And they still strike me as being pretty green. I mean, they got a lot of promise, but they're not quite there yet.
Also need a lot of new music, man.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, the whole gimmick is a mess. They got dubstep music and weird rockers tights but they're cowboys. I don't know. They're weird. I think it's the same music. I don't know. It's definitely everything about them has sort of a gay porno vibe. I don't think that's what they're going for though. But that's my takeaway.
I don't know, man. I didn't enjoy this match, man.
No.
And there's nothing really else to say about it.
No, it was just there. It was, it would have fit right in on an episode of SmackDown probably if it was just, I don't know, the New Day versus the Dust Brothers or something. But that would have been crisper. I mean, this was more botched.
Dude, we haven't talked about Raw in a little bit, but. Before we go on to Corbin Dempsey, can we just say that New Day is completely dead and they should stop?
I think so. Yeah, I think they picked up a win this week. I haven't sat. I hate to. I mean, well, I don't hate to admit it. I watch Raw usually via YouTube clips, or I have Hulu. Sometimes I watch the 90-minute version. I go off what the internet, what people say. Sometimes I'll get home and watch the last hour of it or something just to be on Twitter to joke about it. But the New Day is they're in the. I mean, Adam Rose has more of a storyline going on than those guys do right now. So, yeah, they're Vince's go-to minority babyface jobbers, and that sucks. So
sucks because at least two of them can work, and then there's Xavier Woods.
Yeah, Xavier could talk if he had the right gimmick, but
Oh, you
yeah,
mean the original gimmick?
just don't call them the Nation. Just have them be angry guys, and try not to acknowledge their race, and it could have been fun for at least a little while. I mean,
Yep.
I was not all I wasn't all in on the new Nation, but at least that made sense. So yeah.
Hey, so what's your thoughts on Bull Dempsey versus Baron Corbin?
I don't understand this feud. I thought this was fine. I mean,
In a
this is
feud, doesn't
fine.
one guy have to get wins too? Like, don't both guys need to get
Yeah,
wins in a
that's.
feud?
I mean, at some point, I thought Dempsey should have won one of these. Instead, he just looks like a little bitch, and that's how he's getting treated. I mean, even probably my favorite part about this match was the Corbin getting the chair and then like kicking him like he was a piece of dirt at the end of the match. Um, yeah, I mean, even for a no DQ, I mean, what they only used a chair, right? They didn't use anything
No,
else. There
no,
was no other.
they didn't even use the chair.
Oh.
Bill Dempsey.
Bill Dempsey, that guy was good. Like him, Bill Dempsey.
Grabs the chair and then gets thrown into the end of days, and that was it. Never actually used the chair.
I thought he. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I blocked. Already forgot about that match. Look at that.
Like weird. It was weird belly button versus a guy who shouldn't actually wear his tights.
No, Bull. I would be a lot more, and I don't think I'm alone in this. I would be a lot more into Bull if he would put on some fucking pants.
Yeah.
The singlet is not. The banana hammock is not a good look for him.
It is not. It is not appealing and appeasing to his body type.
Nope. No, Bull. Bull. Seems like an okay talker, but I don't understand his character, his direction. I need him to wear some clothes.
He's crappier Taz. That's what he is.
Yeah, and the diving headbutt should go for all kinds of reasons, but not the least of which is that they just have him like hit it onto a guy's bicep, and it looks like it hurts him more than the other guy. And yeah, crappier Taz is that's a good tagline for him.
What happened to the bulldozer?
I don't know. It went somewhere with his push. I mean, because he destroyed. Basically, we're getting the same story. He destroyed Moho Rawley, and now Baron Corbin is destroying him, and that's and I don't know. Baron Corbin, he had an okay match with Neville last week, but I don't think he's ready for prime time either. So I don't know what he does next. I think they're just going to have him keep feuding, squashing Bull until people revolt on it because they don't have anything else for him to do. And I don't know, but they're in on him. I mean, he's getting this push. He got his own shirt, which was it's an okay.
He has the look. He has the look minus the belly button.
Yep. Maybe he needs to put a shirt on. Bull needs to put on some pants, and Baron needs. Did he keep his shirt on tonight? I think he did.
No. For like the first 2 minutes of the match, he kept his shirt on.
Oh, right, because he was serious. It was no DQ,
awesome.
Right?
He ran right to the ring.
Right.
He was wearing a shirt, and his weird belly button, what wasn't out, and then all of a sudden he took off his shirt, and then the belly button was out, and it just looked weird.
Yeah.
The whole thing is weird, man.
Yeah, this was definitely I liked the structure of the card. They gave us the hot opener, but then it kind of went. It almost went into the ditch with the tag match, and then this didn't do anything for me, but I guess you needed it because you were about to mark out for like an hour solid. But the crowd was kind of weird tonight. They sort of stopped and started even on some of the bigger matches just because I think there was a weird energy to the way the matches were paced out. I mean, these two matches didn't. These were like a rival quality matches. These weren't what we're used to from TakeOver, even from the big card stuff.
I mean, we'll talk about we'll talk about the next couple of matches, but the actual individual matches, like the Tommy Neville match and the Zayn Owens match, and even the four-way, there was a weird pacing within those matches as well. Like everybody was raving about the Bálor and Neville, and it was a great match, but there was such a weird pace to it that it was really hard. Like with all those chin locks and
Yep.
I don't know, man. Like it was a good match. It was a really good match, but to me, it wasn't. The people were throwing out the word classic, and I didn't really.
I agree with you. I said on Twitter, I think I stand by this. And this may just be the mark in me a little bit. I mean, that's at least part of it. I think the Fatal 4-Way was my favorite match of the night. I love the story with the main event. And like you said, I don't know if it was our expectations or what, but I think we were expecting, especially from Bálor, however you say it. I don't know. I like how he says it, and I can't do that. Especially the Finn versus Adrian match.
Right.
I think we were expecting something else, and that they came in and worked so slow for most of it. That threw me off anyway, and maybe on a rewatch I'll appreciate it more. I thought that the ending was great. They did some really cool counters, and it got where it needed to. But I agree with you. I had a hard time like latching onto that match for some reason. Maybe it's part of its face versus face, which does work, especially in NXT, but makes it a little bit hard for me to connect to sometimes. I think Neville played heel a little bit, but not as much as he was doing against Zayn. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it. It's a good match. I want to rewatch it, and it really got going, but it took a while.
Also, a bit of a hot take, and people may disagree, but Finn's entrance works when he has like the face paint and like all like the weird shit that he does, but when the lights aren't dim and it's kind of just like what happened with his match with the Tommy last week, dude, that
right.
entrance is stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I still dig it. I mean, just because I think I think he's probably got the best theme song in WWE right now. So I'll still mark for that. I was a little disappointed tonight that it wasn't really. The face paint isn't going to be that cool if it's the same face paint every time. Part of the fun of Devitt in the Indies and in New Japan was that he did different stuff all the time.
Right.
So if every time it's going to be this cross between Venom, Carnage, and a Resident Evil monster, with the same, right down to the same like weird Bob Marley wig and everything else, it's not going to be that excited. I know they got to sell the T-shirt and keep the, so they're invested in that design, but they got to mix it up a little or something. I think we're already getting to. I mean, I like the way Neville sort of responded to it too, where he just sort of stood there like, are you fucking done yet? They're going to have to get to where somebody just jumps him during this thing at some point and doesn't stand there respectfully while he takes 5 minutes to enter. But I guess the Undertaker takes 20 minutes to enter and everybody stands there. So.
No, but Undertaker works because like it's the Undertaker, like
right.
I don't understand it. To me, and again we'll get to the match, but the entrance, it works in NXT and with like their actual show pacing, but that shit's not gonna work on Raw. Like that's not gonna work on Monday Night Raw in an arena because people will just like, what am I watching?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it might. I think at first, I mean, the question is how it'll hold up. I don't know. I think initially, I mean, it'll get the same reaction that it got from everybody else, which was like, holy shit, that's cool. But if it's the same thing, and he mixes it up enough, I don't know. I think I was a little disappointed that the face paint, like the big match thing, was almost identical, but I think the entrance is still over. I think it can still get over on the main roster. I don't know. Interesting. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Anyway, so we have Bálor goes over on Neville. Which is clearly the right call.
I could have seen them going the other way, but this makes sense, especially given how the main event went too. So,
but I mean, Finn Bálor. Look, I'm gonna say the other. I'm gonna go against what I was saying just 2 seconds ago. He's clearly the guy that works out best on the main roster.
Oh, absolutely. He's
without a doubt.
Yeah. He comes in, he's ready. I mean, he gets it. Like I said, I mean, I think the pacing was it just wasn't what I was expecting. I don't want to come across as I'm like dissing this match, but I agree with you. I don't know if it was classic. I want to watch it again, but he gets the WWE style of storytelling. He builds to the big moments the right way. I think he's got a 5 moves of doom. They're just an awesome 5 moves of doom, and he can also change them up a lot. So it's actually like 27 moves of doom, and he can pick which 5 he uses in the finishing sequence. So that helps.
He has a kick. He has that. He has like the roundhouse kick when the guy's on the turnbuckle.
Yep.
Like he has a bunch of moves. The one thing which I'm not a big fan of is his finisher. I'm not a big fan of the stomp from the top rope.
Yeah, and tonight I had a question. I put it in the I put it in the live blog too. So he did it. He did the double stomp off the top to the back of Neville's head, and they didn't call it a coup de grace. But then when he did it to when he was laying flat, they did call. So are they like two different moves in WWE's mind? I don't know. I mean, it is kind of I'm used to it as a finisher, so it doesn't bother me. But it's different.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like a finisher to me. But like again, to me, a finisher should be high impact, and like while it certainly sucks, like there's no way that doesn't suck taking that move. It just doesn't seem like a finisher.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like when he hit it on Neville to the back of his head, it's more like the curb stomp. It seems like something that might put a guy down for 3. When you just you hit him in the stomach, it looks like it would hurt like hell, and if you screw it up, you could fucking break a rib and puncture a lung. But I mean, he's solid enough that he's not screwing it up. But I don't know if it would necessarily 100% equal a 3 count.
Yeah. Anyway, Adrian Neville's one of those guys. What goes on with Adrian Neville now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the crowd sort of they chanted "Thank you, Neville" when it was over. I think they were sort of thinking that this was his farewell, and maybe it is. I mean, the good thing is, well, hopefully he doesn't have like a gimmick that Vince isn't going to get like Adam Rose and Bo Dallas did, but I don't know that he's not much more than like Evan Bourne 2.0 on the main roster. I think he would, if he gets called up, I think he's probably around the U.S. and Intercontinental title scenes and maybe picks up a win in one of those early and then starts jobbing to people because that's what they do once you win one of those belts. And, yeah, I don't know. I really like him. I like him as a heel. Like I said, I thought he was back to sort of playing that I'll do anything to win character again tonight a little bit that we haven't seen in a few weeks since the Zayn feud ended. And I think that's an interesting character. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there doesn't seem to be much left for him to do down here because he's established as like he needs to be in the title chase if he's down here. I was kind of hoping that Solomon Crowe was going to debut and attack him, and that would be like his going away feud. He'd put over him and then go.
Maybe that's what happens next week.
Yeah, I guess so. That's the one hack we got tonight said the TakeOver isn't over. Tune in next week. So I guess he'll be at the tapings tomorrow night and show up on one of those. Or not, because this isn't the first time they've bait and switched us on Solomon Crowe. So
before we move on to the 4-way, what's the deal with Solomon Crowe? Who was he in the
He was Sami Callahan. He was Dean Ambrose's tag partner in CZW. He's a crazy man. I'm not as huge a fan as some people on the site. I know Rex is a big Sammy Mark. I think Reverend Kane is too. But he's fun. I mean, he's a lot of fun. They were in a tag team together, a faction called Switchblade Conspiracy. So they were very similar, like we're unhinged and we might just cut a bitch in the middle of a match kind of a thing. So I don't know how that necessarily translates to this like IT guy hacker character, and that'll be interesting. But
something like be excited for his debut though.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting. It probably won't be smooth right out of the gate, but that's another really fun thing about NXT is seeing how these guys adapt and figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think he can have great matches with most of those guys around the top of the card, and he should come in and slot immediately higher than like the Baron Corbins and those guys. He's an indie superstar kind of a guy.
Gotcha. All right, so. Next match, second to last match of the night, we have the Fatal 4-Way. My opinion, it was like every single NXT special show, whatever. I don't know what they call them now.
I don't know, either live event, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Live event, whatever you want to call them.
I guess they just call them takeovers.
That's really all they are. But every single time, it seems like the women's matches get better and better. You know, like Arrival, we got Paige and Emma, and that was classic match, like great match. And then we got Paige and Charlotte, and that was classic match. And then we got Charlotte and Bayley, and that was classic match. And then like it seems like every single time that they're giving these women who are incredible workers and athletes to get like time to actually work, we're getting stupidly great matches, and tonight was the best of all of them.
Yeah, I agree. And I in the comment threads around Cageside, I had been saying, don't get too excited about this. It's a fatal four-way. They might not get that much time because Bálor, Neville, and Owens Zayn were going to get so much. And they took every minute that they got and they maximized it. And like I said, this one had the best flow for me. Like both the main event and the one we just talked about were a little disjointed, and I think that was the plan. But this one it went, and I thought, it was crisp. Everybody got some spots in. I thought Becky Lynch looked great. I mean, there was a couple times where I thought she might win it as like out of nowhere, which coming into this I was like, well, she's the only one who definitely won't win.
Right.
Yeah, they advanced all the storylines. I thought I was a big fan of this match. Big fan.
I thought it was a great match. I'm really impressed with Becky Lynch. I think that Bayley, I'm more impressed with her now that her character is no longer the I just want to hug you and hang out with you. It's a better character, and she needed some edge.
Yep.
Charlotte Flair, sometimes she's great, sometimes she's not, but dude, when she's on, like, best female wrestler in the world.
I don't know. I mean, she might be the best female sports entertainer.
That's clearly hyperbole, but
yeah,
she definitely is an insanely amazing talent, and
Charlotte really strikes me right now as somebody. She's like that, like the second or third year, like football or baseball player, where you see flashes of like, oh my God, if she can do that all the time, she's going to change the world. But she still doesn't do it all the time yet. But I still don't think she's the greatest promo. I think, like her dad, she's a better heel than a face. I think it's probably been a good experience for her to play babyface for the last 6 months or so, but it's going to be better when she can just go and heel it up. But yeah, she can do some stuff in the ring that is like really crazy athletic and cool looking that not a lot of women can do. But all three of these women could hang with her doing it, which is one of the great things about NXT.
Right. Hey, it's kind of funny what happens when you're allowed to work with Sarah Del Rey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you're allowed to actually have routine 10-minute matches and that aren't booked to have like cat fight segments in the middle of them and shit.
She's definitely physically imposing too.
Yeah, she looks like she's gonna come in there and fuck everybody up.
Yeah. And she has the real life moments when she assaulted a police officer.
I thought that was just her husband. Was she involved in that too?
Beat up a cop.
Yeah, I know her husband did. That's why he's in TNA purgatory now.
Like she's legitimately I don't know if you watch MMA and I don't know if the wrestling.
Yeah, not as much as you guys do, but I do.
She's the same height as like Donald Cerrone and the same build as Donald Cerrone.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's absolutely massive. Like I don't want to guess her weight because she's a woman and that's
right.
Piss her off, but like I would be surprised if she's under 145 pounds.
And it's a solid 145, so I don't think she'd be upset. I mean, she took some time off and she went and got her boobs done, I think, which adds to her, Kevin Dunn factor, I guess. I mean, they look all right though. I'm not doing this to be like a pig. I'm just commenting on the look because it's part of the package. She doesn't really have hips, which is kind of a weird look, but no, she does. The Cerrone comparison is a good one. I'd like to see those two square off at the weigh-in.
I just want to see side by side because I think that they're the same height and build. Like Cerrone is not like a wide dude. He's just and that's what Charlotte Flair is. I think that getting back into the match, her dropping the belt, I wasn't surprised at. I think that she's held onto the belt and she's told her story down in NXT. I'm hoping that she gets called up and that they kind of let her actually work matches on Raw.
They haven't. I mean, I give them a lot of crap, but they have been doing better on Raw. They've been letting like Paige and the Bellas have longer matches. The problem is they don't have the depth up there. So, maybe they're convincing people, and because I mean, Charlotte Paige should be a great feud. But we said that about Paige AJ, and they couldn't even tell that story right. So Um, but anything that Charlotte and Paige do in the ring together is going to be better than anything that AJ and Paige were going to do in the ring together. So there's hope there. I mean, I was surprised. I was fairly shocked actually at how cleanly Charlotte put over Banks. I mean, given that this was a fatal four-way and everything, this was pretty much came down to I couldn't tap you, but I came damn close, and then I pinned you anyway, clean. I mean, there wasn't grabbing tights. There wasn't like double team maneuvers that got. I mean, she set her up with that crossface, and then she rolled her up. She looked strong.
And you've been a Sasha Banks mark for
since she turned heel, basically. I mean, I wasn't sure about her when she was a generic babyface, but she's become like, talk about. I mean, I'll match your hyperbole. I mean, she's one of my favorite sports entertainers right now, just across the board, just in terms of what she can do in the ring, what she can. I mean, the character, just I'm a big mark for the lass. She had some cool ass. I'm gonna mark out for a little bit. She had some cool ass spots here. I loved the setup for. I don't think we've ever given it. I mean, we've given it a name on Cageside. I don't think WWE has the double knee drop when she's got the opponent slung over the ropes. She did a double stack of those. She worked it so that she threw Becky Lynch into Charlotte on one of them. You know, that's the boss. Do it like a boss, man. Oh, she's not Ratchet.
She's not Ratchet, man.
Becky looked great. Bayley, like you said, she got some moments where she maybe could have won, but she had to go and take care of Becky on the outsides. I mean, I think it sets up their stories for a while. You'll probably get a rematch because they like to do that. We'll have a Banks Charlotte rematch that Banks will probably win with maybe a mini Becky Bayley feud, I think, before Bayley resumes chasing Sasha and eventually probably gets her. But that might be 2 live specials down the road. So
right. And Becky, Becky Lynch is right. She's right there too, man. She's one of those people that, she's clearly ready for the big push, and it's just a matter of now that just like there's too many women on the main roster. And that's a weird thing to say.
Yeah. Well, and there's not enough wrestlers. There's a lot of total divas up there, but
that's what I meant. That's been our complaint. That's been your and mine complaint for the past year. That they keep doing these total divas matches, and it's for the benefit of a TV show that airs 6 months later.
Yep. And now they're dragging Tyson Kidd into it too, but that's a whole nother rant.
Yeah. Final thing about this match is all 4 of these women are ready for the main roster. It's really just a matter of like we saw Emma crash and burn, and Emma was as ready as anybody.
Yeah. And Paige struggled. I mean, who is another one is she's finally getting to where. I mean, my hope is that Paige is so young, and they're finally starting to see what they have in her that they're going to have to pull up people who can work with her, and that's going to slowly change that division. But for the time being, I'm content with everybody staying down in NXT. Unless they're going to have. The other thing is, they could have their own women's wrestling show on the network. Give it a half an hour if you weren't sure about it, and just let everybody work with Sarah Del Rey and. They could have their own shimmer or shine down there, and they could be really good because there's people that we haven't even seen yet that might have some promise. And there's definitely more indie women that they could sign. I don't know if they've got the right look for WWE, but there's people out there.
Who has the right look for the WWE? Portia Perez.
Yeah.
Perfect. Like she's built for the WWE right now.
Yeah.
She's a little small, so like tiny person, but. One of the best workers on the indie, female workers on the indies. And
what's her name in Lucha Underground? I mean, I think was Ivelisse, was she in WWE for a while, or was she at TNA for a while?
Ivelisse was on Tough. And,
yeah.
And they cut her or she got injured and they cut her, whatever it was.
Right.
And then TNA, but she was working in WWE developmental, and then. TNA was like, "Oh, hey, we want to send you down to OVW," and she was like, "Go fuck yourself."
You're like, "Yeah, no, yeah."
Like, I'm not the kind of person. Like, I was working in WWE developmental because like, I'm not going to be working with like shitty people on the main roster.
Right. Yep. Yeah, that was just TNA wanting to be like WWE without even knowing why.
Yeah. The one thing which I like the idea about the women getting their own show, and I think that's a great idea for the network, because that's the big complaint, is that the network is basically just reruns of past cards and like occasional real things.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see what they're doing in NXT, like the women of NXT, because you look at the main roster and there's Paige. I don't even know what's going on with AJ. She's not even there anymore. So it's
she's out with an injury, but we don't know what that is, and there hasn't even been an update in at least a month.
Okay, so you have Paige, Natalia with who's not working any matches, Brie Bella, Nikki Bella, and then and Alicia Fox and Naomi. So you have like five people basically on the main roster that can actually work a match.
Right.
And you have an entire roster of women and like that, like down in developmental, that like you could just be like, hey, here you go, like flood it, and you can it could be amazing.
Yeah, and I don't think they have to add cost. I mean, you don't have to. You could film it at Full Sail. You could have it be, filmed for an hour before an NXT taping and cut that up into 3 shows, and I think they could do it if they wanted to, and it would be a good way to it'd be a good incentive for fans like us to keep their network subscriptions, and it would slowly start to change the perception at the higher levels.
Yeah. I don't know, man. So do you think that Charlotte gets called up now, or do you think that she does the rematch with Sasha?
I never understand why they call people up or even bring people back like Sheamus now in WrestleMania season when they're about to have a bunch of part-timers come back and they run short on time. So I think they probably do it like Paige. I think maybe she shows up after WrestleMania. But she's weird because she already showed up and jobbed to Natalya on the main roster. I mean, I guess they're probably just going to forget that. I hope they do. Yeah, I would wait. On her and Neville, if they're going to do it, I hope they do it in the summer when there's more time, but I don't know.
Right. So, main event.
Main event.
Sami Zayn, El Generico versus Kevin Owens.
Yep.
Dude, I really enjoyed this match.
So did I. I think they did a great job right from the get-go. I mean, that video package was awesome. They sort of showed them backstage a couple times throughout the night. They gave them sort of they extended their entrances to backstage. They built this really well, and like I said, I really enjoyed the match, and I wasn't crazy about the ending, but I understand why they did it, and I want to see where they go next, which is the biggest thing about it. So.
Yeah, what I enjoyed about it is that both guys look really good. Like they're both really good. They're both really good. So I mean, that's a stupid thing for me to say, but it wasn't a straight up Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen squash match. I'm sorry, it's still weird for me to say Kevin Owens.
I know. I was typing the live blog and I had to go back and take Steen out a couple of times. It's a work in progress getting used to that.
Yeah. I think that Owens, they have so much faith in Kevin Owens. It's stupid.
Obviously, yeah.
Like
Triple H's boy.
And it's so like that's crazy to me, because what we've seen in the past with Triple H's boy is like the guy
Dave Batista.
Like Dave Batista.
Yeah.
Looks like Batista.
Yep.
Not the guy that looks like me.
Yep.
Or like, and Triple H loves him. Triple H loves him.
It's pretty awesome. It's amazing. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. One thing that kind of bothered me is that Zayn dropped the title so quickly after winning it, I guess, but there's no other way around it, and we knew that Steen was going to go over. But that was kind of a bummer to me, is it's like, it's been so long being a Sami Zayn fan that it hurt watching him lose the title so quickly.
Yeah, and I think the match was great. I think it made the pace of this one made a lot more sense to me. I think it fit the story better than it necessarily did in Bálor and Neville. We were getting some crap for not being on board with that one earlier in the thread, I think. Not like real heat, but the pace, this one being slow in spots made sense to me because it was about them wanting to hurt each other, and it was about Owens' slow progression into like revealing how much of a psychopath he is. Up to this point, they've rolled that out slowly. First, we knew it was his plan. Last week, they told us it was definitely his plan to do this all along. This week, we saw him just enjoying hurting his supposed friend that it wasn't personal with. So that was great. Sami is great. Some of his sells are a little too HBK versus Hogan. Sometimes he flops around a little bit too much, but it's Sami, so I can't get mad at him.
His expressions are great, though.
Yeah, he's the great. That's why the loss isn't a bad thing either, because Zayn, like Bryan, like Bayley, is better as the chase guy or gal. They're the ultimate underdogs, so that makes sense. My thing, I just would have liked to have. I don't know why you just don't let Owens pin him. It was obvious that he was incapacitated. You already have the trainers run out. If you're gonna go for it, I don't know. You just don't see the TKO that often.
Yeah. What I'll say is that watching it live, and again, like neither you and I have, like everybody else in the show thread. It did look like Zayn can. I don't know what he calls it. The springboard backwards moonsault thing that he does.
Yeah.
It did look like he hit his head pretty hard against, like the back of his head pretty hard against the steel ramp.
Yeah.
And so part of me was kind of like, he's clearly concussed, because like I've hit the back of my head on stuff, and your brain's just like I have no idea where I am. But then again, they wouldn't have let him take 5 power bombs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So like, that story was perfect. I think to me, this was a better match than Bálor Neville, because you said it, like, the pacing I think worked out better, because they were trying to hurt each other versus just like, I'm trying to win the #1 contender. Sami Zayn, he's just one of those guys that he's ready. Kevin Owens is ready. Like Kevin Owens is ready for the main roster. Like, these are guys that they're going to be in a feud. Probably they're probably going to do the Zayn Owens feud for the next 2 live events. And then,
I would think so. Yeah.
And then figure out like, how are you going to bring these guys up to the main roster, because
and the thing with, I worry a little bit about Sami on the main roster, although I think Daniel Bryan is sort of teaching them how to book that kind of guy. I actually don't worry about Owens. I guess there's still the possibility that Vince is going to see him and just go, he's fat, I hate him. Right. But his character is so classic pro wrestling. He adds layers on it, but it's not like Bray Wyatt, where like maybe they won't get him.
Right.
Like, what do we do with this guy? Kevin Owens is he's like the mentality of Brock Lesnar, but more cerebral and a little bit less impressive physically. So you can't really mess that up. He's ready to be a heel on the main shows now. I could see him, going after Roman Reigns after he wins the title or whatever, or going after Bryan, whatever ends up happening up there. So, yeah, I never thought I'd see Kevin Steen in the WWE, and to see him get there and have a rocket strap to his back is
Triple H,
yeah. And that's just, Triple H is an interesting cat, man, because he does stuff that drives me crazy, and I don't think he's like necessarily the savior of the business. There's stuff that Gino and I talked about it on Twitter. I'm not real sure about his vision for like the reality era stuff all the time. I think he knee jerks on the main shows a little bit too much. But sometimes, man, he just gets it, and he sees what he's got, and him and Steen have bonded over something. Most likely the fact that they really enjoy like fucking with people as a heel, and they're crazy pro wrestling nerds, and away we go. I
think it's going to be interesting in that. I was saying to Jeremy Botter, and who's a pro wrestling nerd, and Brian Brookhouse, that to me, the way that I would bring them up is I would bring up all 5 of the NXT 5, whatever you want to call it, at the same time, and kind of have them be like Daniel Bryan's like muscle, so to speak. But I don't want to call it I don't want to call it like the Nexus or anything because it's stupid, but kind of in that same vein of like you have 5 indie darlings with the indie darling.
Yeah.
I think, and it doesn't need to be like Daniel Bryan is a leader, just more of like, hey, I'm your mentor. Like I'm going to show you the ropes with the main cart, with the main roster or whatever. And like, I think that Kevin Steen is clearly the guy that they feel has most potential at the moment. Finn Balor has the most long-term potential, and then Sami Zayn is going to figure out where he's going to go, and Adrian Neville is going to probably be like a U.S. title IC guy, and same thing with the Tommy. But
So if you bring them up together, do you bring them up as faces, like they're his baby face posse kind of thing, or do you turn Bryan heel and bring him up?
I like Sami Zayn kind of like tweener Sami Zayn, like when he was like getting pissed at Neville, and like I think that works for him. I think that works for him more than like, hey, I'm Sami Zayn and like the smiles and stuff. I think him getting pissed and like what he did tonight to open the match, I think that works for Sami Zayn more. You know, like not a bad guy. I don't think I'm not going to say a heel, but a guy that has some edge to him. I think that it's actually the Sami Zayn that I'm most interested in. I don't want to see the guy who's just always smiling and like doing his weird skanking to the ring.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I think because I think not to get too much into the main shows, but I kind of feel like I know Gino's reactions to Raw this week were that like Roman was turning heel. I kind of got a heelish vibe from Bryan, going back to his like I don't understand why you guys think I'm a heel. It's sort of Bryan plays a heel sort of the way Neville does. Like he'll do anything to win and sort of delusionally great. But I think you could bring those guys up. I don't know. All wrestling storylines are recycled long enough, and it's been about 5 years since we did the Nexus. It might be time for the NXT 5 to run roughshod over, because then and like we saw with the Shield, then you've got some built-in storylines when that's run its course, and you're ready to do Owens versus Zayn on the main roster and all that jazz.
Right, because like the way that you would do it is like Kevin Owens goes a little bit too far.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Perfect. Kevin Owens goes a little bit too far with how he's attacking people, and Sami Zayn's like, we never agreed to do that.
Right.
Perfect. And then Sami Zayn goes and breaks off.
Right, and Bálor gets a little bit too big for his britches or something, or gets a little too weird for everybody. I mean, yeah, you got it all right there. And unlike the Nexus, you have talent to sustain those feuds later on. It's not all of a sudden Michael Tarver or whatever that guy's name was.
No, it's Michael Tarver. That's a good memory you got there, Sean.
I know. I remember stupid shit and I can't remember important things. That's how it works.
But I don't know. This I think was. We keep saying it every single time that they have these NXT shows, but this was the best one that they've done so far.
I still like our Revolution better, but yeah, it's like saying, this is my favorite ice cream flavor versus my second ice cream flavor. I mean, these are all, like we said at the beginning, these are all, you will sit down and watch these and you will feel like you had fun, it was a good use of your time, I don't know if you saw, like, the Onions AV Club today, this was their pick of the night for television. So this is the kind of thing that you can take to, I mean, there's always going to be people who just think that pro wrestling is for, like, inbreds, and you're never going to convince them. But anybody who's on the fence or who used to watch, you can show them NXT, you can show them probably Lucha Underground, and you could get them back into it. And that's not something I wouldn't take my buddy who hasn't watched in 10 years and sort of makes fun of it and say, let's watch Raw tonight. But I would say let's watch TakeOver.
Right. Speaking of Lucha Underground, did you watch last week?
Yes.
Hey, how about my friends Mariachi El Bronx opening up the show?
Hey,
you know what? Like, I think that's that they were at 2 days of tapings, and I think that's going to be a great team, like a great, it's good for them to come together because that's the Lucha Underground to me, like how I picture it.
Right.
I don't know, man. Like wrestling, the stuff not on Monday night is awesome.
Yeah. No, and like you said, I mean, one of the things where I think Lucha Underground even does a step better than NXT is every person on that show, you know who they are. They've got a story. Nobody just shows up to get squashed. I mean, like, even the guys that they debut in a four-way, they have like a little angle simmering. So nobody shows up to just kill time. I mean, it's like I said, it's the benefit of being able to pre-tape and write this stuff out in advance and everything else. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, Wednesday nights is a great night now for pro wrestling fans.
The Wednesday Night Wars.
Yeah. But it's the 21st century, so we have DVRs and on-demand and shit, so we don't have to have a war. We can just watch them both.
Yep. Anyway, Sean, anything else you want to add tonight?
Winner. No, I got to go write a reactions column and go to work tomorrow at 8 o'clock, so I'm good.
Sean, I enjoyed doing this.
Absolutely, man. I guess we got Fastlane in a couple weeks for the flip side of the coin, where you watch Matt and Sean grumble for 45 minutes instead of gush for an hour and a half.
Matt and Sean are mad.
Yep. Matt and Sean are mad. Not after the bell. That's a different subtitle.
Totally different subtitle. Anyway,
all
guys.
Right. Believe that and deal with it.
Deal with it.